Now we'll look into the some of the advanced material, that is landscape material, and how to make a landscape and how to make the trees and the grasses and all those things. I'll show you. So again, first I have to create a landscape. Let me delete the folder. Okay. So the landscape has been created. So now if I go inside the landscape material, so this is a simple landscape material. Now I have my texture in here. I have my textures. I'm multiplying the texture with a parameter to increase the brightness, and I'm doing some desaturation, and I'm adding some tint. If I want some tint, I can add it. Similarly with the specular, I'm giving a specular kind of texture. I'm multiplying with it with a specular parameter to increase and decrease the specularness. For roughness, I'm giving a simple parameter, and for the normal, it is just a simple texture. And again, the AO texture has been multiplied with a parameter to increase the ambient occlusion or decrease it. This is a simple one. So when I select the landscape in the details panel, I'm getting and it is asking for a landscape material. Now I can drag and drop the landscape material inside the material slot of the landscape. So now it will fill the entire world with the texture. Okay. Now when I go into sculpting, I can do some formal sculpts. Next, once I have done the sculpting, the next option to it is the foliage. The foliage is something which contains the grass, trees, and all other aspects such as the rocks, and all those things can be a foliage. So first I need some of the foliage to be present. So I will go inside my foliage. Let me get me some of the foliages. First is the grass. Now in the foliage panel, see, it is asking for a drop foliage here. There is a text called drop foliage here. Now if I drag the foliage and drop it there, it has created a foliage to be used inside the engine. Now if you see, the moment I select the grass foliage, it is giving me some of the options of it. One is mesh, which mesh it is using. Next is the painting parameters. In the painting parameters, it is the first option is density. In 1 KUU means in a map with 1 kilometer in area, what should be the density of this foliage, the currently selected foliage? It is 100. If it is 100, see, it has given me this much density. If I change this to 1000, it will give me more density. This is 100 density. This is 1000 density. So according to the need, I can change the density. The next, but first I need my character to judge anything inside my scene. First let me get the Rama character. Okay. Now when I go back to the foliage, now I can see how much dense I need the grass to be. Thousand density is a little bit too much, so I will reduce the density to 500. See, by left clicking, I am painting it. If I want to remove this grass, then shift with left click, it will remove the grasses. I can increase the brush size and I can remove all the things at once. Let me decrease the brush size. And it was good. So let me paint some grass. Next, I want some flowers in here. So I will search for some of the flowers. Grass is there. Okay. I'll get some of the trees. Once I have the trees, let me get some of the flowers and all those stuff. Okay. Now, currently, all the foliage are been active. So first I have to inactive all the foliages. Now I will active one by one, and I will start painting the foliage. Let's select the trees. Once I selected the trees, I'll go and change the density around 10.
వాడి ప్లాన్స్ వాడుకుంటే మన ప్లాన్స్ మనకుంటాయి. రేపు వాడు మనల్ని అరెస్ట్ చేయడానికి వస్తాడు కదా, వాడిని చంపి మన ల్యాప్టాప్ మనం తెచ్చుకుందాం. దాంతో ఆ కమిషనర్ గారికి కాలంటే వణుకు పుట్టాలి. ఎనీవే, you've done a good job. Okay. Keep it up.
Then let me add some of the bushes and
నేను జూలీ ఫాదర్. చెప్పండి, జూలీకి సంబంధం చూద్దాం.
with the bush I'll change the density.
సంబంధం చూసి చేయాలి అని, అందుకే నువ్వు ఉంటే బాగుంటుందేమోనని. మీరైనా నేనైనా తన ఫ్యూచర్ బాగుండాలని కోరుకుంటాను కదా, తప్పకుండా మంచి సంబంధం చూసి పెళ్లి చేద్దాం. ఓకే బాబు, ఓకే. ఎవరికి కాంగ్రెస్ ఎందుకు కోరుకోవడం చూపిస్తారు రమ్మని చెప్పారు కదా. ఓ నాకు చెన్నయ్య ఇప్పుడు వరకు ల్యాప్టాప్ కోసం కేవలం కాంగ్రెస్ ట్రై చేస్తున్నాడు అనుకున్నాం. పోలీసు ట్రై చేస్తున్నాడు తెలిసింది కదా. అయితే ఏంటన్నయ్య, ఈ ల్యాప్టాప్ కూడా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ అని తెలిసినప్పుడు మనం 2 కోట్లు ఎందుకు పెట్టాలి? 4 కోట్లు అడగచ్చు కదా. సూపర్ తమ్ముడు, ఆ కాంగ్రెస్ పోతే ఆయనకి బేబీ కాల్ ఇద్దాం. పోలీసులు ఫోన్ చేస్తున్నారు. స్పీకర్ ఆఫీస్ మాట్లాడారు. మిస్టర్ ఖాన్, గోల్కొండ కొట్టండి, ల్యాప్టాప్ ఇవ్వడం లేదు. ప్లేస్ చేంజ్ చేస్తావా? ప్లేస్ మాత్రమే కాదు, రేటు టైం కూడా చేంజ్ చేశాను.
Mary Lata.
పోలీసుల దగ్గర నుంచి ప్రెషర్ పెరిగి అందుకే బ్రీఫ్ కేస్ రేటు 4 కోట్లు పెంచాను.
Mary Lata.
కష్టం, ఇప్పటికిప్పుడు ఇవ్వడం కష్టమని నాకు తెలుసు. అందుకే 4 రోజుల తర్వాత మళ్ళీ కాల్ చేసి డబ్బులు రెడీ చేస్తాను.
Okay. I have placed some of the trees and the bushes. Let me add some flowers. I'll change again the density around 50. Next. Next, I'll get few more poly edges for some variations. For all these, I will give a density. For each and every foliage, I have to set some densities. Once that is done, I'll select my grass and fill up the rest of the places. So this is how fast we can create environment inside Unreal. Once all the things are ready, we can make things faster. Now let me get my hut in here. I can remove the grasses in here. I can see that the landscape has penetrated the floor of the house. So I'll go back to the landscape, go back to flatten tool, and I'll start rectifying the mistakes. Once I'm happy with the output, I can go back. Now for going back to the game mode. Game mode is something in where I can see only the characters and the props that I have placed. I don't want this kind of icons and all those things distracting in my game. So I press G, I will go into the game mode. See, the moment I press G, all those things will be hidden. If I want to take a screenshot of this image, then beside the left hand side top corner, there is a small arrow. If I click on the arrow, it shows me the viewport options. In the viewport options, there is a high resolution screenshots. It will give me a high resolution screenshot window. Here I can change the size of the screenshot. Next, if I want to take any specific region of the screen, then I have to select that specific region. I have to turn on the specific region button and click and drag how much I want to take a screenshot. In the right hand side bottom corner of the high resolution screenshot window, there is a small camera button. If I click on it, it will take a screenshot. See, it has taken a screenshot of that image. Okay. So again, so to place the foliages, first I have to drag my mesh inside the foliage type. Once I have dragged the meshes, I have to select the specific mesh and change its density. Okay, for each and every mesh, we have to provide some specific density. For a tree, I cannot give a density of 100 or 2000, but for a grass, I can keep it 100 or 200. I can keep more for the grass. Okay. Any doubts in the landscape foliage? Anyone? So this was just an overview of the landscape and the foliages. Anyone have any kind of doubts in landscape? Now to make this thing, make it look little bit realistic, I have to add, I will do some color correction. Color correction can be done in post process volume. The post process volume helps you with the color corrections and other effects that are needed for a game or any movies to look good. So let me first make it unbound. Once it has been made unbound, modify the bloom to convolution. Mean max brightness to 1. Next, in color grading, I can increase the saturation. Let me reduce the saturation a bit. Next, for any kind of environment, we have to put a, in a forest generally we have fog. I'll search for fog, and there is exponential height fog that I'll drag inside my scene. Now in here I have fog density. How dense the fog is. Next is the color of the fog. I play around with this. Next, if I select my light, I can change some of its intensity, post process volume. This is how we color grade the characters not seen. So post-process volume is used for color grading and changing the mood of the given scene. Okay. Anyone has any kind of doubt till now about the landscape, the materials, how to place the foliages? Any doubts? The next part, we'll add some animation to it and we'll export the entire as a movie format. So for creating a cinematic, we have to first create a sequencer. I've created the sequencer. Now I have to drag the character inside the sequencer. Once I have added the character inside the sequencer, I have to add a animation. So now you can see that my character is only walking or doing any kind of animation in that particular place. So to make the character move, I have to sync the transformation of the character according to the animation. So in the transformation, I have location, rotation, and scale. I have all the three properties inside transformation. So I will unduck it. So inside transform, there is a plus icon. Beside the plus icon, there is a small circle with a plus. So first I have to create a key. That is a key. Now it has created a key in my sequencer, which is red in color. Next, I will move my transform. I will select my character. I will move it in the 3D world. Create another key. Till then, now this is my starting position. I can change my position. So this is how we have to sync the animation with the transformation of the character. Now I can see in here it is penetrating, so I will bring it up and place another key in that position. So this is how we animate and synchronize the movement of the character. Next, we have to add a camera to this sequence. So in the sequencer, the first one is the save the sequence. Next, if I have to find any other sequence, this is for searching. The next is the create a camera for this current sequencer. Let me create a camera. Now it has created a camera. Again, we have the camera properties. This is the camera component. In here we have the camera aperture, focal length, focal distance of a normal camera. But we won't go inside that. We have a transform. We will use only the transform for the current scene. For the first shot, let the camera be around here. I'll give a transformation there. I'll create a key. When the character goes out of the frame, I will rotate the camera, then give another key. So bring it front. And we'll do past it. Now I can move the camera basic. So once I'm ready with my shot, I can go back to my, instead of the perspective view, I'll go to inside the cinematic viewport. Inside the cinematic viewport, I will select the camera. Now inside the sequencer, if I hit play, I can see my shot. I go back. And play. This is how we create a sequencer. We create a shot. For the shot, we create a camera. Once this is done, once everything is finalized, beside the create camera button, there is a render the movie. It is a render button. I hit render button, it will give me the render settings. First, it is asking for creating a image kind of per shot. It will render out few images per second, or else we can select image sequence or video sequence. For this, I will select a video. Next is the output. Do I need any kind of audio? If I had placed any kind of audio inside the scene, it will record those audios. So for now, I don't need that. So I will select no audio. Next, video compression. I'll change the compression, and I don't need any kind of video compression. Next, I'll turn on cinematic mode and engine scalability. I'll check these two options on. Next, in the last bottom corner, in the bottom we have animations. I will give some frames to warm up. Let's say I will give around 5 frames for warm up, and I'll give a delay of around 2 seconds. Next, in the general, where the output directory, where should I save the output? So I will select the desktop and I will capture the movie. The moment I hit capture, after 2-3 seconds, it is showing me an error that the desktop is only read-only memory. So I will change the location. Let it be here. Capture movie. It will ask me to save the scene. Save it. I'll give a name. So now the render preview, movie render preview has come up, and now it will start recording the footage. it has now started the recording. It will take some 1 or 2 minutes. After that, it will give me a video format as an output.
Hello, sir.
In the right hand side bottom corner, it is saying capturing video. If I stop the capture, if I open it, it has captured some of the content. If I open it, it has rendered a video. Okay, that is how we record inside the Unreal Engine. Till now, any doubts?
Hello, sir. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Sir, can we make a character move along with a specified path? Means
Along
we
the
can along the specified path means line path. We can specify the line path, and then the character has to follow that line path. Like we do
any
in
spline path or what?
means in
Your voice
Katia,
is not clear.
means we have to, if character has to move, then
Okay.
we have to select translation. Then we have to select rotation. Instead
Yeah,
of that, we have to give a line path like splines. Then character has to follow that splines. Is it possible?
yeah, it is possible. Means, see, if we are, this is just for a movie kind of purpose. So all the things has to be pre-done. In the sense, let's say you have a animation. Already this set has been made, and you have already determined that a character will move in this direction and it will go in that direction. Then you can make all those changes inside Maya itself, all the animation inside Maya, and export that animation.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is there any maximum size of video we can make with this in a particular for a particular duration or like that?
There is no maximum limit for the duration. You can, if I open my sequencer, it will record up to the duration of this clip. How long the clip is, it will record up to that duration. Okay. Inside the render settings, I have a resolution. If you're asking about resolution, I can change the resolution in here. The max is 4K.
Sir, so what is the what will be the maximum length of a particular clip? Is there any
There is no limit. I
settings?
can extend the clip. I can extend it how much I need.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay. We can extend it. There is no limit for the clip length. But you have to be aware of the RAM that you have. If the length of the clip is around, let's say 5 or 6 minutes, then it will consume around 10 to 12 GB of RAM.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
And that is also when we compare it with the Unity, we can play it in the game panel. That is here we can view the output in the same panel itself.
Yeah. If I go into the cinematic viewport and if I select my Cinemation camera, see there is a play button in the sequencer.
320 close.
If I play it, go to front. If I play it, I can view my output.
Oh, yes. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other doubts? Then tomorrow we'll look into blueprints and how to convert this scene into a virtual reality experience scene. How can I experience this scene in virtual reality? We'll look at that tomorrow. Okay. So now we can.
Sir, one more thing. That is, what are the hardware requirements for viewing this VR? That is, what are the hardware which is supported by this tool?
For VR, there are few VR devices. One is Oculus Quest, one is Oculus Rift, then HTC Vive. These are the few VR devices. Okay. Oculus Quest is a mobile-based VR device, and HTC Vive and
Okay, sir. The desktop.
yeah, Oculus Quest, HTC Vive,
Okay.
and Oculus Rift. Oculus Quest is
Okay,
a
sir.
mobile device.
Quest. Okay, okay.
So we can give output to these 3 devices.
Okay.
Yeah. So you should have these things to experience the.
Sir, also, sir, also one more thing, that is, if this is for this gaming applications, and suppose if we want to teach something, and suppose like this karate and all, and do is there any provision to check whether the trainee has done correctly and give a feedback to him, and then
Yeah, for that you have to make a application.
how we can train?
Yeah, for that you have to make an application.
Hello?
Hello, am I audible? Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah,
You are audible, sir.
Yeah.
Uh,
So for that you have to make an application. That application you have to link to any of the server that you have. From inside the game you have to give the linkage in the UI, through UI, or else inside the VR session. If you want to make some changes, you can do it through your servers. You have to link it. Then you can get the
okay,
feedback
that
and-
is it can be done using the desktop only. Is it possible using the mobile app?
No, mobile. See, Unreal is mostly for desktop and consoles, not for mobiles. I cannot run this scene inside a mobile. I need a desktop to run this scene.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. For mobile application, you have to go through with Unity.
Okay. That is for this high-end application like this, we have to use this Unreal itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So for the basics or for as a trial, can we use Unity and then we can change it to this Unreal?
No, once you this for the basic things you can use Unity, but you cannot import that Unity scene inside Unreal. You have to make all those things again back from scratch in Unreal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is, these two are two different softwares.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, can Unreal replace Unity totally? Means if we use only Unreal,
Yeah.
then is it so that Unity can be ignored? Then we need not learn Unity. Whatever we can do in Unity, all that can be done in the Unreal.
Yeah.
Is it like
Everything
that?
can be done inside Unreal. But the thing is, what is your target platform?
Okay.
Yeah. Everything depends on that. If you're targeting for mobiles, then you have to go with Unity.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're targeting PCs and consoles, then you can go with Unreal without any doubt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other doubts? If you don't have any doubts, then we can close the session.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir. In the Unity, we have ML agent. So do we have same kind of machine learning tools for Unreal as well?
Yeah. We have same. The names will be different, but we have the machine learning and all those things we have for Unreal.
Okay. So, but for the commercial use, we'll have to pay for the Unreal. Otherwise, it is free of cost.
No. For Unreal, if you are generating around, let's say $30,000, I think more than no. 3 lakhs dollars if you're earning, then you have to pay around 5% of your earning to Unreal. Below that, it is free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, is there any relaxation that is costing relaxation for the education institutions for this Unreal?
For that, you have to contact with Unreal itself, Epic Games. Epic Game is the
Okay.
studio which is making Unreal Game Engine. For education, you have to contact with them.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Then we can close this session and we will see tomorrow. We will see blueprints and the how to convert the scene into VR. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Good day.
thank you very much. Wonderful session, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the session, Pradeep sir.
Okay.
Yeah, after the session, we would like to share a small presentation on VR tour for Warangal heritage sites,
Okay.
which is done by our college, and this is a consultancy project.
Okay.
Yeah, the name of the project is Development of VR Tour for Warangal Heritage Sites. And
Okay.
this is done under Hriday scheme of Kakatiya Urban Development Authority in association with Warangal Urban.
Okay.
Yeah, the goal of the project is to develop virtual tour for Warangal heritage sites under phase 1 for 10 locations. So for
Okay.
10 locations, we have developed a virtual tour
Okay.
for Warangal heritage sites. And the list of the locations are, first one is Metlabavi, Bhadrakali Temple, Devuni Gutta, Pandavula Gutta, Sarvatopadra Temple, Swayambhu Temple, Fort Warangal, and these are all the locations that are available at Warangal. Warangal is famous for its rich heritage culture. And after Swayambhu Temple, Fort Warangal, Khushmahal, Ekashila Hill, Ramappa Temple, Thousand Pillar Temple. These are all the locations that we have selected in the phase 1 for developing virtual tour.
Okay.
And what does this virtual tour consist of? The virtual tour consisted of interactive navigable panoramas. We have taken all the panorama shots and we have added info tags for it. And all the hidden views and location transformations, all those things we have shown.
Okay.
So for if at all there are any unknown places, that is within the temple, we might not be knowing the importance of each and every location that is there in the temple.
Yeah.
So for all such locations, what we have done is we have added info tags.
Okay.
And then location transformation means the place when it was built, how it was, and now how it is.
Okay.
So maybe transformation always occurs whenever there is historical place.
Yeah.
Either through time or through something calamity or something. The location may be very neat at that time, but now it may be somewhat disturbed. So all those transformations we have captured, we have collected from the history, and all those transformations we have captured and put in our application.
Okay.
So both web-based and standalone applications are developed, which provides this provides immersive experience. If it was live session, I mean, if it was offline session, it would be more interesting. But since this is online, we have to show them in the video format. And each and every info tag was providing the intricate details, both online and offline. So as Warangal is a renowned heritage city, and many of you might not be knowing that this is listed by Warangal Heritage Place by UNESCO. So UNESCO has listed this as Warangal Heritage Place. So its architecture is affected by many different dynasties over the years of history, and mostly influenced by the Kakatiyan dynasty. So Kakatiyan dynasty people were ruling this in the 12th century. And Warangal is considered as a very renowned heritage city, and people all over the world come and visit the places. And this is a small tribute for developing a VR tour for such applications. And all the 5 applications that are developed are web-based and standalone applications. And the project is completed in last year itself. And some add-ons were done after they suggested some changes. The KUDA officials, the Kakatiya Urban Development Authority, the application was handed over to the Kakatiya Urban Development Authority officials.
Okay.
And we'll see one application right now. And we have our team members, myself, P. Radhika, and Lakshmi Kalyani and Ramesh Reddy are the team members for this project. And I would like to invite Mrs. Lakshmi Kalyani to demonstrate one of the application.
Okay.
Yeah, Lakshmi Kalyani.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. Good afternoon to all the participants. Myself, Lakshmi Kalyani, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, VNR VJIT, welcomes you to the session on Warangal Heritage Sites Virtual Tour Demonstration. First of all, I would like to thank P. Radhika and Dr. B.V. Kiranmai for giving me this opportunity. Today, I am here to present a virtual tour of different heritage sites as a part of consultancy project titled Developing VR Tour for Warangal Heritage Sites. We have developed virtual tours for 10 heritage sites of Warangal. The cost of the project is 10 lakhs and is sponsored by Kakatiya Urban Development Authority under Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana. We have developed virtual tours for following heritage sites: Ramappa Temple, Thousand Pillar Temple, Devanigutta, Pandavalagutta, Bhadrakali, Ekachila Hill, Swayambhu Complex, Sarvatobhadra, Kuch Mahal, and Stepped Well. Now I am going to demonstrate you virtual tour of Ramappa Temple.
Ramappa Ramalingeshwarami, the great temple of Ramappa, is situated in the small village of Palapet in Venkatapuram Mandal in the district of Mulugu, about 40 miles northwest of Hanmakunda of Warangal district. This glittering ruby in reddish-white sandstone was raised by Rachel Larudra, the commander-in-chief of the army
of the Kakatiya king Ganapati Deva in 1213 AD. The visitor can enter the temple from any of the three entrances or porches on the east, north, and south, which are adorned with almost life-size beautiful figures of females on either sides, which are exquisitely carved. In the enclosure of the main temple, there's also an exquisitely carved Nandi in a Nandi Mandapa opposite the eastern entrance of the temple. One more subsidiary shrine in the north, which is also rich, and also another small temple in the south. Besides the main temple and its subsidiary shrines, the most striking feature of this great temple are the bracket figures glistening like black pearls in black basalt. These bracket figures consist of 12 female figures, almost life-sized in highly polished, intricately carved black basalt, which represent the Kakatiyan art and sculpture. The sanctum is on the western side and is east facing through any of the three entrances. We enter into the hall or Mahamandapa of the temple, which is enclosed by four huge, exquisitely carved black granite pillars in the middle. The sanctum sanctorum or the Garbhagriha of the temple is entered through another richly carved doorway, at the center of which stands massive Shivalinga on a high pedestal or Panavatam of black basalt. The high ceilings of the temple, divided into various compartments, are superbly carved with geometric floral patterns, episodes from the Puranas, and so on. Garbhagriha of the temple is entered through richly carved doorway. Temple of Ramappa is of cruciform plan on a platform 6.4 high, as opined by James Ferguson, the celebrated architect of the erstwhile British India. The style of the main Shikhara is a compromise between the styles of North and South India. This magnificent spire, or Shikhara, of the main temple is a fine craft of the classic Nagara style over a basically Dravidian one. The classic Western Chalukyan style of architecture underwent a beautiful transformation here at Ramappa. This Shikhara has been built with lightweight bricks that float on water, probably in order to reduce the weight over the building. In a subsidiary shrine in the north, besides the main temple,
Now we will move on to virtual tour of Thousand Pillar Temple.
The Thousand Pillar Temple, or the Rudraeshwaralayam, is the crest jewel of the Kakatiyas besides Ramappa. The treasure chest of the Kakatiyas is never complete without this jewel. This crowning glory of the Kakatiyas was constructed during the reign of the Kakatiya king Rudradeva in 1163 AD on the architectural tradition of the Western Chalukya.
These plus symbols are the info tags, and Kalyan, you can press on that plus symbol. Yeah, this will show the hidden views.
The Thousand
From
Pillar
distance, it is not visible,
The Rudraeshwaralayam is the crest jewel
and videos are also added.
besides Ramappa. The treasure chest of the Kakatiyas is never complete. All the outer walls of the triple shrine are decorated with beautiful images of
These
Lord
are all the names of the places.
Surya.
So most of the visitors who visit the temple, they might not be knowing the names of the places, hidden places, and this gives a comprehensive list of all the places
Once housed
in a particular temple. Yeah, you can see the idol when you click on the when you press on the plus symbol.
All the outer walls of the triple shrine are decorated with beautiful images of Lord Vasudeva, Lord Surya, a dancing Ganapati, and Chamaravahinis. The outer walls of the temple have Koshta Panjaras, or beautiful miniature shrines, which could have once housed minor deities. You can even find the famous inscription on the Kakatiya king Kakatirudra in the temple premises, inscribed in the year 1163 AD. There is a big stepwell or a temple tank in the northeastern corner of the temple complex, which is elegantly designed. Opposite the triple shrine, there is a huge Nandi, the Vahana of Lord Shiva. The Nandi of the Thousand Pillar Temple represents the heights of the intricacies of Kakatiyan art and sculpture. Each and every detail has been so realistically carved leaving the visitor astonished. Opposite the triple shrine, there is a big mandapa beyond the Nandi, which is actually called the 1,000-pillared mandapam. It is called 1,000-pillared because in the ancient times, when this great temple was all intact, there were so many pillars in this mandapa that could number 1,000 or even more. This is locally called the Kalyana Mandapam, which is under renovation by the ASI. The temple is on a double platform and consists of a central mandapa or a hall with 3 shrines: Rudreshwara on the west, Vasudeva on the north, and Surya to the east. The idols of Lord Surya and Lord Vasudeva have long been lost as a result of invasions, leaving alone the massive Shivalinga to which we offer ablutions and worship today. In fact, the temple faces the south and is in 2 sections: a triple shrine or a Trikutalayam in the north and a mandapa in the south with a narrow platform connecting the 2. As soon as we enter the temple, we get into the central mandapa, or the hall supported by huge, intricately carved, glistening black granite pillars. There is a big round Natya mandapa in the middle. The doorways leading into all the 3 shrines of Lord Shiva, Surya, and Vasudeva are all intricately carved. The doorway of the sanctorum of Lord Shiva or Rudra facing east is beautifully carved and enshrines a massive black basalt Shivalinga as in Ramappa, be it the underside of the ceiling or the granite pillars or door jambs. All have been sophisticately carved with utmost precision and finesse, with various episodes from the Puranas, floral motifs, creepers, soldiers with swords, Chamaravahini.
Finally, virtual tour of Devani Gutta.
Devanigutta. The temple of Devanigutta is situated amidst a dense forest east to the is a very unique temple which is said to be only one of its kind. This temple is said to belong to 6th to 7th century AD. This temple very much resembles the famous temples of Java, Borobudur, and Angkor Wat, Cambodia. This temple is believed to be built during the reign of the Vishnukundins, who ruled the Deccan during 5th to 6th centuries AD. But the architectural and sculptural style is very foreign to both that of the Vishnukundins and also the region. Rather, to some extent, the architectural style is on the lines of the Gupta style. By far, it is the oldest surviving. Devanigutta represents a beautiful, rare and a distinct amalgamation of both Buddhist and Saivite traditions. The architecture and sculpture style of this temple is very unique and one of its kind. This temple is made up of pre-carved blocks of sandstone. Great care has been taken to mold and pre-carve various different sizes of sandstone blocks accordingly, and then carefully assembled one by one upon each other using a paste of limestone and mortar. Nearby the temple, a partially destroyed marble pillar, probably a remnant of a much larger stupa with a half lotus, and the line is found suggesting its Buddhist origins. The locals say that there used to be a Shivalingam first. The temple tower or gopuram is pyramid-shaped in 5 stories. Sculptures can be seen all around on all 4 walls of the temple. The monument was once coated in stucco, as traces indicate. In addition, the stucco might have been painted with natural pigments. The compositions very much recall the magnificent 6th century rock-cut reliefs at Elephanta and the 5th century Buddhist Vakataka murals at Ajanta. The most striking depiction in the temple very much resembles Padmapani of the Ajanta paintings. Another striking feature is the beautiful sculpture of Ardhanarishwara. We can also find Lord Ganapati and Lord Skanda sculptures under the hands of Devanigutta. The temple of Devanigutta is situated amidst a dense forest east to the
With this, I am going to conclude this session, and final special thanks to Kadiyam Srihari Garu, Dr. Milan Kumar Chole, Superintending Archaeologist, Mrs. Amrapali, IAS Officer, Sri VP Gautam, IAS, and Dr. D.N. Rao Garu, President of Vijnana Jyoti, Dr. C.D. Naidu, Principal of VNR Vijay IIT, Dr. B.V. Kiranmai, Head Department of CSE, Dr. Y. Padmasai, Head Department of ECE, V. Ramesh Reddy, Assistant Professor, ECE, for supporting us in developing this project. Thank you, Radhika Madam. Thank you all the participants. Radhika Madam?
Yeah, that was some of the glimpses of the virtual tour that we have developed. And because this version of virtual tour can be seen from anywhere across the world, and lots of information is there in the temples, okay, which this generation might not be knowing. And this is one such experiment what we have done to give the heritage of our culture to the future generations with the help of this virtual reality. And this will be very good when viewed with VR boxes. And but since we are presenting it online, but online it is also looking good. And thanks everyone for watching this. Thank you.
Madam, is this video available in YouTube?
Yeah, someone is speaking.
Madam,
yeah.
Is this video available in YouTube?
No, sir, it is not available, sir. It is not officially released by the government of Kuda, sir. So they will release it soon, sir. This may be available on their site, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Tomorrow's session starts at 10 a.m. and afternoon session we have a valedictory and assessment test we will have tomorrow. And thanks for the nice time that we all have. We'll join tomorrow. Thank you.